SA951 systems here. In this video, we're going to talk about the outputs. Now, by default, when you get one of these SA951 controllers, each output will be configured to switch to 12 volts DC. If you need to change that, you'll have to remove the 6 screws, pop all these off, take all of them off, and you would remove this metal plate so you can slide the board out. And the board will slide out, so it slides this way out towards you. Or if you have it turned to the side, you could slide it out, and then you can get to the jumpers. The jumpers are about right here inside, so you wouldn't have to pull it out very far to get to the jumpers to make adjustments. More detailed information about that would be on the PCB overview video, which is a different video on this channel. So outputs, this is where you connect external devices, bells, lights, LEDs, stack lights, beacons, and there's multiple outputs because there's the possibility of multiple devices. So in the case of a stack light, if you're not familiar, this is a stack light. So it's blue, green, yellow, red. Some people mount them, let's see if I can come out a little bit. So some people will mount them to their ceiling, so it would be hanging down like this from the ceiling. Other people may mount it at the top of a wall, so it's up against the ceiling like this, so you can see the light. And then if you do have a case where you mount it this direction, then you can do that as well. So you're like, holy crap, there's a lot of wires here. So yes, there are going to be 6 wires here, I believe. Yes, 6 wires. So there's gray, purple, red, yellow, green, and blue. So red, green, yellow, and blue are self-explanatory. Red is for the red light. That's the positive for the red light. Yellow is the positive for the yellow. Green is the positive for the green. And blue is positive for the blue. Now, you may be saying, well, what is this gray and purple wire? Well, let me not lie to you. I don't even remember, but I'm going to check real quick. Hold on. All right, so pulling out the cheat sheet, you can see the colors of the wires. Purple is the buzzer. Gray is your ground. So that being said, all of these do have a buzzer in them. You can see I think it's on both sides there. There is like a piezo buzzer. You don't have to connect that, but you could assign an output for the buzzer for certain alerts. So without me cutting this, the easiest way to explain this is that the reason that you have all these different outputs is because specifically with the stack light, you need to be able to tell it which light should come on. So if you took your ground wire, which is your gray wire, right? There's only one of those. So you can plug your ground wire into the first ground. So your ground wire would plug into your first ground, like so. And then number 1 could be your fire light for red, right? So then you'd have your ground. So your ground or your red wire would go on the left, your ground would go on the right. And then for each additional color, you wouldn't need to run another ground. So if K2 was for EMS, then that would be the blue wire. So you would run the blue wire into the left side here, like that. And then you would run say the green wire is output 3. And I might have said input, I mean output. So output 3 would run in there like that and tighten it down. And then the last color is your yellow light. So that would go into the left side of input 4 like that. And you would have it set so if a fire call went out, your red light comes on. If an EMS call comes out, your blue light comes on. If the battalion chief or the chief or duty officer got a call and they were the green light would come on. If there was a doorbell notification or a weather alert or something that may be connected into one of the external inputs on the other side of the controller, that could turn the yellow light on. Then you could have some things that would turn on 2 lights. So if you had lots of tones, you could have it set so it would turn on 2 different lights. The only thing is that when you do that, you may start confusing people. So if you have like a chief officer and you want the blue and the red light to come on for the chief officer, well, that could be confusing because, you know, now what if it's a fire call and an EMS call and you had a fire tone go off, then the EMS tone? So that would be blue, red and blue as well. It would turn on the red for the fire tones. It would turn on the blue for the EMS tones. So you just have to think that out when you're doing it. You know, combinations that wouldn't normally come on together, if they come on together, that's different. And then if you wanted to hook up your buzzer, which was that gray cable, you could hook the buzzer up into input 5 right here. Just like that. And you could set that so whenever there's a high priority call, every stack light buzzer would buzz for however many seconds you set it for. So if you wanted it to buzz for 5 seconds, it could buzz for 5 seconds. You could cycle the buzzer too, because the relay can be cycled. You can ring the buzzer for a second, off a second, on a second, off a second for 4 or 5 cycles, or however you see fit for that. The lights themselves, I mean, I know we're not talking about the lights, but the lights themselves are pretty cool because they have these switches in here. And you can actually choose if it's if this is a steady on, if it rotates, or if it flashes by these switches. You can also switch these to 24 volts. They're set for 12 volts now. But these stack lights are very versatile. They're not really bright. They're not designed to be bright, bright, bright. They're designed to be, you know, let you know what type of call there is. So now it gets a little easier when you get to a device when you're hooking up like your beacons. And obviously you're not connecting these wires directly to the controller. You would use like a connection cable, some 18-2 plenum wrapped wire that would come out of here, and then that would go your 100 feet, and then this would be wire nutted or spliced in. But, you know, when you have a simple setup like this, you would just, you know, plug it in. So your ground is on your right, your hot's on your left, so it just plugs in like that. The yellow wire on most of these lights is like either your synchronize or your flash pattern change. So you can change this from a rotating beacon to like a pulsating or a left-right side flash. So that's how this would connect to that. And you can connect from one device to the next device to the next device. You just have to remember that it's only a 5 amp relay. It's a 5 amp circuit, a 5 amp fuse, and then, you know, it's a 5 amp power supply. Now, if you can hook up to 12 amps of power through this. So just, you know, stuff to keep in mind. Now, when you have other lights, particularly the Phoenix Q3, so you can get this light and you can mount this out in like the Bay Area if you wanted to, or mount it up underneath of something. These have a lot of wires too. So the way the Q3s work is these are 4-color programmable. So, you know, red and black is obviously your primary. So that would plug into ports 1 and 2 here like so. And I'm not really plugging them in, but you get the idea. So red and black, and then your white, you wouldn't need the ground for output 2 and output 3. So the way the Phoenix Q3 works is there's a high priority. So red being the highest priority, and I'm not sure if it's or white or yellow are your second and third priorities, but if you have 1, 2, 3 activations at the same time, your priority light is going to be whatever is programmed for the red and black. So if red and black is a red and blue flashing alternating light, then that's what you get. But if your fire tone, which is red and blue flashing, doesn't activate on relay 1, and say like somebody presses the doorbell and you have the doorbell set up to be a flashing yellow light, then the light would just flash yellow. You know, but like I said, it's a priority thing. So like your red and black wires are your priority, and this is specific to the Phoenix Q3 light. You know, there's priorities here, so you wouldn't be able to necessarily flash yellow, white, red, and blue all at the same time. It's going to go in priority. So doorbell least priority, chief officer second priority, fire and EMS or whatever there's on 1 would be your priority. So if you had activation of your doorbell, the chief tone, and a fire tone at the same time, your fire light, your red light would prevail from your output 1. So just got to keep that in mind. Different lights work different ways. Like and I'm just going to show you this. It's mounted on a lid, but this is our 180 degree light, and this unit here, this thing here has pretty much, you can see the LEDs, even at an angle, you can see that this thing is just, you're going to see it from every angle, unless you're behind the wall. And then this works very much the same way. So, except with this unit here, and you can see it's already got a plug on it, so let's just plug it in for the hell of things. So right now, if relay 1 was to turn on, it would activate the red and the blue light, because this is a dual color, so it's red and blue. So it would alternate between red and blue. But if you disconnected the blue, because you see the red and blues there, if you disconnect the red or the blue and you move the red or the blue over to this input on the left of K2, then you would just, whoops, I hit the tripod, sorry. If the red wire was plugged in here and you had a fire call, then the red light would flash. If an EMS call went out, the blue light would flash. If fire and EMS get a call back to back, so you get a fire tone, then an EMS tone, then it would alternate between red and blue. So this is kind of a unique feature of this light. We really like this because it's compact, it's easy to mount. It's only about 3.5 inches, about 3.5 inches wide and about 1 inch tall, and it sticks out about 2 inches. But it's a nice light. It's super bright, and it's easy to interface. It also has a sync cable, so you could actually sync all your lights together by connecting your sync cable, and then there's your flash pattern change. And another nice thing is that the red light could have a separate flash pattern from the blue light. The blue light can have a separate flash pattern from the red light, and when they both activate, the red and blue combination can be a different flash pattern as well. So there's 3 different flash patterns for the 3 different ways it could activate. So stuff to think about when you're building your alert system. You don't have to buy our lights. You can get lights from anybody. They just have to be 12 volts. We're happy to sell you the controller to run everything. It's super easy to program once you get the hang of it. It is a little bit of a learning curve. And, so that's your outputs. And you can, like I said, you can connect up to 8 outputs here. They don't all have to be lights. It can be bells, bed shakers, buzzers. It could be access control systems. You can flip the jumpers in here to make this dry contact. So you unlock your doors. So when a call goes off, it will unlock your doors for 5 minutes, and then it would reset and your doors would lock again. If you have key fobs. You could shut your stove off. You can kill power to certain things. So you can do whatever you want with this. And it's all activated based on, P25 triggers, pager activation, a pager trigger, your input triggers, or listening to a radio and decoding 2-tone, DTMF, or single tones, just like a pager does. So basically, you think of it as it's a big pager for your firehouse. So hopefully I explained the outputs there in this video, and if you have any questions, feel free to leave us a comment.